cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, nah, unlikely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains, I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a fucking name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain, I just wanna be greatness. 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 Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste it, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate it, you know where to find me. And if you go and hate this, you can fucking bite me. Okay, I'm going off every chance I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it. Investing in my own stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go, let me spend. Everything that you see is something I invent. And it's only a percent. I'm gonna take shots. If I miss all, forget it. I'll take a fat loss just to learn all that's in it. I'm taking snapshots, learning how to fall and get it. I'm getting back up, always stand tall, don't sweat it. I never back up, I don't miss a thing or regret it. I'm always learning, you could call me academic. I'm always working, never been apathetic. That energy is like a poison, needs some antiseptic. Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you
Hey, what's up? Yeah, you're welcome to jump in if you want. I'm not on camera today, but yeah, I pinned a link there. Anybody that wants to join can. It's just members only kind of hangout, open panel thing. You know, I like to hang out with the people that support the channel or were gifted memberships or whatever. Talk to everyone that helps support the channel, a little bit about what's going on and what we got planned and not planned, and things we're working on and not working on, and all that. But yeah, you're welcome to jump in, Earl. I wasn't sure when I was going to do a member stream this week. I had wanted to do it earlier in the week, but I've actually got a recorded video too that I've almost got done editing. Oh, excuse me. That I've almost got done editing. So this week I will have released my Sunday show. Did a Sunday show on the Shaken Fist. Did my Monday call-in show, which the call-in part didn't go great, but the show ended up being pretty awesome. I had some cool people on stage and had a really good conversation about some stuff I hadn't thought about, and gave me some ideas of a way to go with those things. But then I did the yesterday I did the political show with Robin, and I need to work on that some. I need to work on how we're doing it and I need to refine that one a little bit. It was a little rough around the edges and some things I didn't care for about it, but I'm being picky. And besides, I've got I've got Jess helping me now, and so it's easy for me to stand back and look at stuff and say, "Oh no, I would like it better if it was a little bit more of this." So it's easy to be like that, and I'm trying not to be that way. But there's a few things, and it's nothing to do with Jess. It's just that I have more time to focus on the streams, and uh, uh, I see things that I want to fix. AJ came on the other night, and he sent me some private messages on Facebook, and told me things I could do to improve the channel and improve my content and make things run a little smoother and stuff. And everything he said was correct. I'll uh, I'll tell you what he said. I don't. It's nothing that crazy. Just let me pull it up here. I hate that I have to switch to the Kentucky Atheist profile to. Um, he said, "Hey, mind if I give you some pointers on your stream? I think you should try and either develop an intro like when you first come on camera, like I'm sure you know mine. The advantage to using the same one every vid is that if I just ad lib every intro, I'm way more likely to use crutch words and trip over my own tongue. For me, knowing exactly what I'm going to say helps make the earliest part of the video sound better, which is super important for viewer retention. Failing that, you didn't really introduce Grayson from what I could see. Go and watch my stream with him and Mark to see how I introduced him. So what you can end up with is sort of a plodding, aimless intro to start the channel, and seeing that can cause people to fast forward or even just click off. If possible, you should adjust your webcam settings to center yourself in the frame. Do you see how much lower you are than anyone else? Also, I don't know if you have a monitor above another monitor, but you seem to always be looking up, and it's weirdly kind of distracting. You want to ideally be looking at the screen or straight into your webcam. Green screen looks great though. Mic quality is better than mine. I hope this helps. It gives the impression that you're sitting on the floor of a wood cabin. It's likely most viewers do not care or notice the stuff, but I can't help but be bugged by it. LOL, I'm a nitpicker. And yeah, that was AJ. Uh, he gave me some things and stuff to work on to try and make it look a little better and stuff, and I appreciate it. I'm always down for criticisms and input on things that I can do better. I do agree with the looking up thing. I hate that I'm always looking up at the screen. And there's a couple ways I can fix that, but I need to just get my shit put together, and that's been a pain in the ass. I gotta buy a bunch more shit from Amazon before I can actually move into that room. Um, the What I guess I'm gonna do for now though is I'm gonna set the camera up higher so that so that the camera is actually in front of the screen, and I have to pass the camera. That way, I'm looking at least somewhat into it. Um, what's up, Earl?
Hello.
Good to see you.
Yes, you too.
You
How was
got
your
the
day?
tats out. You got the tats out today. The
Yeah, had to get off all my scrubs and stuff, and it's hot, so
Yeah,
naked is good.
yeah. I hated wearing scrubs. I hated it.
They're like glorified pajamas. I love it.
I didn't like it because of that, because they always felt like they were like, I don't know, just didn't feel good. Like I don't know. I don't. But like that's one of the few kinds of pants I'll actually wear. I wear shorts everywhere. I don't all winter long. I wear shorts.
I actually, because I do fill in full time, so I'm not like bound by anybody's dress code. So I actually wear like black leggings, and I've
Yeah.
just found some very cool uh, scrub, like a jacket, but it's long. So it looks like a doctor's coat.
Oh yeah.
Looks very official. So it's
Now, when I
but they're still
worked,
stretchy.
so I worked a couple different jobs as an EMT, and
Hmm.
now I wore like pants. I wore like cargo pants with all the pockets and shit. Of course, like when I was riding on an ambulance, um,
Hmm.
that was necessary. I needed all those pockets. In fact, I could have used 3 or 4 more actually.
Yeah.
Um, but whenever I worked like just doing transports for a little while, uh, I would wear scrubs and then like a vest thing that had. I didn't care what I looked like. I was just trying to,
Right.
it was usually like just driving patients, usually over an hour. So
Hmm.
uh, it was I dressed comfortable for that.
Yeah.
But in the hospital, all the EMTs wore scrubs exclusively. That in fact you had to wear specific scrubs in there, but
Yeah. Most places have a dress code or whatever. I
yeah.
um I just don't give a fuck. All mine are black, and I just like, if you don't like it,
Well, when I
kiss my ass.
first started cutting grass, I didn't want to weed eat wearing shorts because that's rough on the legs.
Yeah.
Um, Now I just do it that way. I don't give a shit. But
Hmm.
uh, I used to when I first started doing it though, I would wear like cleats. I would wear football cleats
Hmm.
and scrubs because they were thin and lightweight,
Yeah.
and they were,
They're moisture wicking too.
yeah, it didn't matter if you ruined them or whatever, they were cheap.
Hmm.
But that's what I did at first, but then I just switched to shorts and I was like, hell with it. I'm going to wear as few clothes as possible out here,
Yeah. Fair enough.
which isn't great for the sun part of it, but
Easy with the cancer rays.
yeah. I've got a big brown spot on the side of my face from getting burnt that uh, Laura keeps telling me to go get it looked at or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just cut the grass. I try to have as little thinking as possible take place when I'm working. Um,
Hmm.
Cutting grass is pretty self-explanatory. Uh, make the tall grass short. That's pretty much how I look at it. And
Yeah.
the cool thing about a job cutting grass is that you if you fuck it up, it grows back in like a week. Like
Yeah.
you can't. I mean, even if you go and just burn up somebody's yard, like leave it brown and everything, in like a
Hmm.
week, 10 days, it's back to normal. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I just
I
have to make
hire.
dirty teeth clean.
Yeah,
It's all muscle.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
all muscle memory at this point. I can literally do it with my eyes closed.
Well, I always hired a lot of like 18-year-olds or guys right out of high school and stuff to weed eat for me,
Hmm.
and I cutting grass was just one of those jobs that it was pretty well stupid proof. So I could just send them on their way with a dangerous piece of equipment and hope for the best.
Yeah. Don't lose a finger.
I used to tell them, I'd say, I don't pay you to think, I pay you to cut grass. So don't, if you come up on something, don't think about it. Just cut the fucking grass, and if there's something that needs thinking, come get me. I'm like,
Hmm.
don't do it, please.
Yeah.
Uh, that seemed to be
We
most
don't pay you to
effective.
think.
Right. No, no. And we literally told them that we don't want you to think that's above your pay grade. Um, just make the tall grass short. The but yeah. So AJ gave me a few pointers on things to make stuff look a little better and things, and I think he's right. I mean, I know that I do kind of a half-assed jank together setup here, and maybe sometimes that's some of the fun of it. But you know,
It's part of the charm, anyway.
well, yeah, it's a weird thing because my channel, and this is, I've had other creators like say little remarks that were kind of shitty, and I don't think they realized they were, but like, um, they'll be like, I don't understand how you get so many subscribers and how you get people to how you got so many people on your channel and stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I just make the stuff.
Maybe because people like you. I mean, you
Well,
know.
I try to interact with everybody more than
Right.
most people do, right? So like
Yeah.
most of the people, like everybody in here right now, Big D hasn't talked to me like much outside of live streams and stuff, but just about everybody in here I've talked to. I mean, hell, I talk to Robin on the phone all the time. I've talked to you on the phone.
Mhm.
Uh, Spooky, I've interacted with a lot here. Ray, I've done content with. Big D, I just like having a Big D around because that's always helpful. Never know when you need Big D. Um,
Damn right.
but the so yeah, it's always been kind of a thing for me. Like I've always been relaxed about it, and while I try to like, I want people to see my videos and things, especially whenever I do cool stuff like hang out with Aaron or something like that. I mean, I want people to see those things, but
Mhm.
like I'm not overly worried about all that stuff. Like it's about the conversation to me. I mean,
Mhm.
and maybe my show is more like a podcast uh, than a real like YouTube, you know,
Yeah.
channel. I guess. Well, I mean, that don't make sense, but
I, well, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's you're sitting down, you're having conversations. There's nothing like visually I hate to say interesting, but like there's you're not like showing a video
that's
and
not
stuff
the
like that.
priority anyway, right?
Right, right. It's
Yeah,
about the conversation. Yeah.
yeah. And most of the people like Jess, one of the reasons that Jess was like so willing to help and do all these things was, she's like, I think you're genuine and you are yourself and you're honest and all that stuff. And I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not. It's not. I'm not concerned so much with putting on a facade as just having conversations with people about whatever.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's a little forced. I get ahead of myself though because especially doing so many shows a week, it's like I have to think of things to talk about. And if I can have, we could talk about morality every time, or
Mhm.
something like. I mean, that's a conversation that I'm going to be able to keep up with every time and have a pretty good conversation about. But if I'm not enjoying that conversation, it's not gonna it's not gonna do
Right.
well. It's
Yeah. And your audience is going to know that
yeah,
you're not comfy, So,
yeah, yeah. But I really liked, even though the call-in part of the call-in show didn't go as good as it could have. I really do like that the panel we had afterwards, because something there was and I don't know how many people caught this because it was a long show and stuff, but there was something kind of special that came up there that made me think for a minute and go, oh, wait a minute, that makes perfect sense. And that was we brought entropy into the conversation about a creator, and which on the surface sounds normal, but um, the thing that we were talking about was how that you see uh, in entropy you expect certain closed systems to become more complex, and so like having a planet where life arises on that planet and becomes more complex rather than entropy taking over and it becoming less complex, because
well, yeah, it can
entropy
become
would
ordered.
suggest that any highly complex thing would dissolve into a less complex thing and equilibrate, right? So
Right. Yeah. I mean, it can find order as
right,
well.
right, you can find order within it. In fact, entropy expects that,
Right.
but The cool thing about it, though, is whenever we started talking about how even within evolution itself that we see entropy at work, and we were able to kind of jump that gap there where you have because you can have a conversation about thermodynamics and entropy and all that, right? And explain things in a cosmological sense. So you could sit and say, like, everything's moving away from each other, and that leads to heat death and all those things, right? But within that entropy, you have complex systems that can become more complex, and that's actually expected. But
Mhm.
then, whenever we look at evolution, you have exactly the same thing, only on a different scale, because then you're looking at forms that are always becoming more complex, even if in some roundabout way. Like, for example, the the nasal passage, or the olfactory nerves in whales, right? Something they
Mhm.
don't really need, but it went through this whole complex set of steps to get to where it's at, and not really necessary to be there. It's just not necessary anymore. But
Mhm.
and it seems that whales have lost the ability to smell. So it became more complex in order to then let entropy take over and the things that weren't necessary fall away. And it was just a neat way to apply thermodynamics to the irreducible complexity argument. And I had never thought about that way. And Grayson and Ember and AJ all did a really good job of breaking that down and stuff. And it was a really cool. I thought that was one of the coolest conversations I've had since I did this, as far as like about something that just blew my mind for a moment.
Mhm. Yeah.
That was, and I was like learning the whole time. I was like, wait a minute now, this is interesting stuff, because nobody, like, I've never heard anybody talk about that particular thing in that way, and it was really cool.
Mhm.
Irreducible complexity is shit. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I don't think that it's like, oh, we finally got a good argument against this thing. That's not what I mean. I
Yeah.
just mean it was a really interesting way to consider those things, and that's cool, because
Mhm.
I don't get to have that happen very often live.
Mhm.
Where in the moment I'm learning something that I'm going to take and apply. But anyway,
Yeah. I think the best part of this community is that there's so many people with various, not necessarily expertise, but at least interests that they're very knowledgeable about.
yeah,
And when we coalesce and have a conversation, there's so many diverse methods and modes of thought that get to come together and can come up with some shit that's pretty profound.
yeah, I think that there's a lot of smart people that if you can get the right combination of people talking about the right thing, it's
Mhm.
you have some really, like you said, profound shit. Like, just
Yeah.
and that was kind of one of those moments for me, is because I knew the people on stage were well versed enough in the things we were talking about to have a not just valid opinion, but a useful one. And
Hmm.
that was cool. That was really cool to get to discuss all those things. But yeah, I guess, though, I'll work on the camera thing, so, because I don't want to be distracting to people looking up the whole time.
It
But
doesn't.
I'll
It
adjust
never
some of that.
bothered me. The only time that camera angles really drive me nuts is when I'm watching somebody that's doing something scripted, and you can tell that their script is right over here, so they keep looking this way. I'm
And you
like,
can see
my
their
eyes
eyes
are
reading it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that drives me insane. But like in this kind of format, like I can't I can't look directly at my camera that's it's bright. you know
yeah.
so I've got it so that at least the screen, like where I would be looking at somebody, is mostly
Well,
in the right direction. But I don't think that people necessarily you know, like you don't need to be staring them down.
Yeah.
For for some of us, that's kind of odd.
Well, I don't think it has to be necessarily that I'm looking into the camera, but that I'm not, actively looking away from it either, because that's weird too. Uh, like you said, when somebody's doing a scripted thing and they're looking off to the left the whole time, you're like,
Mhm.
okay, like,
Yeah, I'm like, get a teleprompter. Yeah,
it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't take away from the information they're given, but if you're watching it, it's like, I could have just
like, what are you
listened
looking
to it.
at? Yeah,
Yeah,
I find it very distracting.
yeah, yeah. I understand. I well, one of the reasons, and actually, light is one of the reasons that my camera angle is what it was, is because I was setting up the camera, and there's a light that sets right on top of that camera, and
Hmm.
if I put it up in front of the screen, I can't see anything but white
Hmm.
because of that
Yeah.
light. And so I was trying to look up above it so I could still see what's going on screen, which isn't even really that important to me, honestly. I mean, it's not going to change what I say. I mean, I do like sometimes watching people's reactions to things, but
Hmm.
you know, uh, but anyway, I figured out a way I can do it that's not doesn't completely blind me and has me at least facing looks like I'm facing the people I'm talking to, rather than
Yeah.
looking up. Especially when somebody's above me, it always looks like I'm looking up at them.
I can see your skirt. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So little things like that. But I was glad AJ stopped, and I'm glad that he said those things because that helps me to put on better stuff and things.
It's
And
always good to receive constructive criticism
well, one of the
when it's
things is
constructive.
that I'm seeing with the call-in stuff, which I'm going to continue doing the call-in stuff, um, is that I'm going to have to start mentioning like memberships and super chats and stuff like that because that shit ain't cheap. Um,
Mm,
I mean, I guess over the course of a show it's cheap, but over the course of a month it's very much not.
right. Right.
And I don't really like doing that. Like, I mean, I like sure. I mean, the whole reason that I added 99-cent memberships to the whole membership thing was because it wasn't necessarily about do you have enough money to come hang out, like uh it was never about that. But I can see where it's one of those things. It's like I do it for the sake of trying to improve things because I mean that's what it's going to take to go to the next step of that. Like I can
Hmm.
see that plainly. That the I'm going to have to put more money into it, and as far as putting money into it, the channel, I, pretty much whatever the channel makes is what I put into it. Like all of that stuff. Shit, just trying to set up for this call-in stuff, I ended up paying for call-in studio and Skype and a mixer and something else. Some other thing I did too. There's some other subscription service like but then also added a subscription to Canva so that Jess can make all the cool stuff that she makes. I've got a team membership thing there so people can go in and do whatever. But
Hmm.
I'm not the artsy guy. I don't know what they do there. I just pay for it. But
Yeah.
and then I just bought a subscription to the Washington Post, so that I can go find the pages and stuff I'm trying to read and be able to show them and all that stuff. And I've also been working on making sure I include all the links to like source videos and stuff like that. So like the little just like the little political show yesterday, there's like 6 links in the description for all the clips that I played to make sure that I did all that
I've
right.
got
So
uh, I've got Reuters and the Atlantic.
yeah.
Those are great sources for, especially the Atlantic, for like kind of weirder stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Stuff that isn't super mainstream, but is really excellent journalism.
I like Reuters a lot too.
Hmm.
The Washington Post just, when I go search, especially these political stories,
Hmm.
because we're doing a political show now.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like every time I search for something, it's like, oh, here's this Washington Post article. Oh, I can't read it. Okay, well,
Instead of doing the Washington, you should do ground news.
oh, so I can look at everything. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
thought
that
about that.
that would be a great investment. And so many channels have a, a promo where you can get 40% off their big package or whatever, for a year. I think it's a year subscription.
Yeah,
But that way you can get access to everything, and they don't have ads because it's a membership
yeah.
type service.
I wonder what that one costs because the Washington Post I pay like I think it's $4 a month is all it is. Um,
Hmm.
I just wonder how
I
much
haven't I
that.
haven't looked at it, but just to have access to, because I assume that they would have stuff like the Washington Post, and but they have, the right and the left, so you can get a good, um, overall view, and the bias of what everybody's, how everybody's skewing everything, is would be interesting, at least to talk about on a political show. Like the
Yeah.
Republicans are all up in arms about this thing, but the left isn't even talking about it, or what have you.
It's funny that you say this, Steph, because that's exactly what I've spent on it since I started testing and stuff too. $23.47 is what I've spent exactly. So it's funny that you say $23. That's what it cost me too to do half a show so far. But once all that's once I've got an audio issue that I still need to iron out.
Hmm.
But I think I already know what the problem is there, and I haven't really messed with it. Justin's actually going to help me look at it here eventually. But it's once I have that fixed and everything's like or in order, I think that the call-in show will run a lot more smoothly, and I won't be
Oh yeah.
looking at such a big spend every show.
Right.
Just depends on how long the shows go, I guess. But I'm
Hmm.
gonna try and keep at least the part of keeping the lines open and stuff to an hour and a half ish, maybe. Just
Hmm.
depends on how it goes.
Yeah.
I expect some calls next week or Monday because I've already got some stuff lined up, and
Ooh,
Blaster Master's going to come co-host with me, and
cool.
um, we've already got we've kind of got a plan, and we've contacted some people, and so I have to say though that call-in show did really well. I mean, it got a lot of views and it
Hmm.
all that. So I'll just keep doing that, and hopefully we start getting some callers and gets to be a little bit more fun. I mean, not that I didn't have fun talking with Grayson. That was a blast, but Grayson's one of those people. There's a few people in our community that when you talk to them, you you just have to kind of throw it out there, and they'll take care of the rest. And
Yeah.
and Grayson's one of those people.
Yeah.
JL
I
is one of
love
those people.
Yes, I love having both of them on Deep Six, because you can just like say a word and they just go off. They're off running.
Yeah,
It's very
JL
very low maintenance.
JL is just so high energy, even
Yeah.
about like little stuff. Like
Hmm.
he's like, oh my god, I got my beard and look at it, and then I could do this, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
He's a
JL
lot
is
of fun.
yeah, he's in fact, I would say even with the Matt and Aaron and all that, I probably had the most fun having JL on. And
Yeah.
then I also worked with JL over on your guys' channel too. So
Yeah.
um the
Yeah. Doing I did the stage of reason, and his Friday show, a couple weeks ago, and
oh
had
yeah,
a
I watched it
blast.
actually.
Yeah, I had so much fun. Yeah, it's real easy to hang out with him. He's a fun dude for sure.
Yeah, and
I've-
with Grayson, I've interacted with Grayson a few times before, so I kind of knew what to expect, and that's why early in the show I was like, "Don't you have a thing about abiogenesis?" And I
yeah.
just kind of put it out there and was like, "All right, you go ahead and talk while I work
Oh
on
yeah,
stuff
he
here."
could talk for hours about abiogenesis, and I would
Yeah,
listen happily
yeah,
because
yeah.
he's so
Well,
knowledgeable about it.
he has a very good talent for explaining things in ways that people can understand.
Hmm.
Like even he realizes he realizes when he gets to a complex part of
Yeah,
like amyloids, like
right.
he knows how to break that down and tell you what he's talking about.
Hmm.
And Grayson's just very good at that, and I had a great time having him on.
Yeah.
Um, I've been trying to get out and do more shows abroad. Uh, I'll be on Skeptic Haven with Stephanie Sunday, taking calls on there.
Cool.
Um, so that'll be cool. And then I just did the thing with Zach this week, and I've got something else planned. I forget, but trying to get out and do more shows in other places and be seen a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
I do have to say though, after hitting 1,000 on the subscribers, they just kept going. They're just like, I'm not doing anything to push that really, but they just keep climbing. So, but I
There's
guess,
definitely like it's like when
uh-huh,
you're
yeah,
there's a threshold
you
and
can
then
say
it sort
hump.
of makes itself.
Just call it a
Huh?
hump.
Yeah.
I can see you actively avoiding calling it a hump. the
Yeah,
uh,
there's definitely a threshold, and then after you reach that, it's like it gets a little
after you get
easier.
over the hump,
Yeah,
the
after you get over.
yeah, no, and I noticed that with other channels too. Like
Hmm.
you'll see channels, they'll be growing and growing, and all of a sudden, like what's his name used to be here in Kentucky,
Yeah, I that's exactly who I was thinking of. I was like,
London. Yeah,
London, yes, yeah,
yeah, London. His channel was like he was struggling to get up to like I think 2,500 or something, and then all of a sudden it was like he
just
had 1,000 subscribers a week, and
yeah, yeah. Now
yeah,
he's
so
pushing 8,000, I think.
yeah.
Last I saw, anyway. He because he's been moving and stuff. He hasn't been uploading like at
Well,
all,
I
really. But
watched. He's been dealing with some issues, I guess, and
yeah, I couldn't make it through that stream.
yeah,
It was
he you know
it was
he
really
talked about a
uncomfy.
lot of personal stuff in that stream.
Yes, he did. And I was not. I mean, the title was very obvious, but like I wasn't anticipating all of that. Um,
Yeah,
it was a little bit more than I could handle. I mean, I'd been there. You know,
yeah. No, I agree with you, Michael. It comes and goes, and if you would look at my analytics, it just looks like a child scribbled on a chart. It's there's no there's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, I know certain things that I can do that do better and whatever, but like also at the same time though, I noticed if I get to like posting and sharing and pushing stuff, my subscriber count starts going the other way too. So,
yeah.
you know,
Sometimes if you try too hard, then the algorithm
yeah,
will come
people
and
don't want to be
bite you in the
bothered by
ass.
seeing you all the
Right.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I've got some ideas for some different stuff and things. I just haven't. I don't know why I haven't done any of that stuff yet because I have the capability to stream without even being here. Like um, I need to do some of that stuff though. Stupid ass.
You're right.
Yeah, yeah. I just got a message. Laura went to go get cigarettes, and I got a message on my phone saying your card was declined because the PIN number was wrong. And I'm like, come on, like you don't need a PIN number to use my card. Just use it. Your
Let's go credit. Yeah. Any whoosies.
Hold on a second.
Okay. Well, how's everybody doing? Anybody have any weekend plans? Anything? No? I'm gonna give my dog a bath because he's itchy. Poor buddy.
Okay. Sorry about that. I have
It's okay.
silly things afoot. Um, videos getting, but just one reminder. One reminder is really all I expect. If I like the content, I'll follow on. Just working on spreading anything exciting coming up for you. Oh,
I've
yeah.
got Michael Beverly coming on. We're starting our season 2 of Deep Six. So he's going to be on Sunday at 7. So that'll be
I
fun.
beat you. He'll be here Sunday at 2.
I know. When you said that the other day, I was like, wait a minute, he's supposed to be on my show. He's double booked. I don't know
Yeah.
how I feel about that.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
Well, we have a lot of crossover on that anyway. Like,
Oh yeah, huge. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Then that's all right.
But,
It'll be fine.
well, I mean, we kind of all run in the same circles, so it's like,
Mhm.
it's not odd for us to interact with the same people and be like, hey, since you're busy, since you're free doing shows,
Right.
I got one for you to stop and do. Um,
hmm I'm gonna get. I was talking with Aaron a couple days ago. He was on. He was doing a stream with somebody, something. I can't remember. This was like maybe 2 weeks ago. And he mentioned, this always comes up where a theist will say, like, atheism is bad because look at all of the bad things that atheists have done. And then they'll cite like Hitler and Stalin and Mao and, shit like that. And it drives me insane because then the atheist will say, well, no, Hitler was actually a practicing Catholic, and they had all of the God stuff on their belt buckles, and oh, that's what it was. It was Forrest and Aaron were on together, maybe on the line, maybe, and they got back. It happened several months ago, but it popped up on my feed. That's what happened, and so then it triggered something because I had been writing a essay on why atheists and theists are both wrong about Hitler, um, because he was neither a Christian nor an atheist. He was a deist, um, with a really bizarre amalgamation of uh, it's a whole thing.
well,
And
I
so
always say Hitler was a creationist, but I don't
no,
specify that he was
he's not a
a
creationist.
Christian creationist. He very
No,
much was. He wrote in Mein Kampf that he was. But
no, he's not a creationist. He doesn't. I mean, he thinks that thought that there's God was um, had some kind of like start to everything, but that,
Well, that's
to
really
me
all
a
I meant by
creationist.
that.
Okay, gotcha.
is
Because
that
I
is
mean,
that
to
a
me, a
God kicked
creationist, I'm
everything
thinking
off?
of like
Yeah.
young, like young Earth creationists, where then they think that like God continues to like make things, and he didn't think that there was an inception to everything, but Hitler did not. He worked very hard, and covertly to undermine. He hated the Catholic Church. He absolutely hated it,
Yeah.
and he was raised in the Catholic Church, but after age 18, he didn't have anything to do with it. And then he worked very hard to dismantle the Catholic Church, as he rose to power. But he had to do it very covertly because most of the population, most of them were Protestants, but then I think it was about a quarter of them were practicing Catholics, but they were very devout. And so the population would not follow him if he were to outright condemn religion. But he wanted the state to be worshipped as
Right. Exactly.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wanted to be, and I've
And he
said this
was
for
running that
years.
state, so
Exactly. I've said this for years, that the reason that theists are always saying, like, Hitler, Mao, Stalin, that they're atheists, and that's why they're
because
bad.
they thought they were God. Yeah.
Dictators think that they're God. They can't conceptualize something any higher than them.
Yeah. No,
So
I agree with that completely.
logically, they cannot believe in a God because they themselves think of themselves as God.
Yeah.
So, atheists are always saying, well, Hitler was he was a Catholic, and, therefore that makes religion bad. And then the theists are saying, oh, but he was an atheist, and that makes atheism bad. And they're both wrong. So I wrote a whole thing, and made my case and sent it to Aaron, and he was grateful to to be corrected, evidently. But
Yeah.
yeah, Big D, he did. There was the Reich Church. There was a whole movement that he started, that did not catch on at all. But that was the Reich Church that it was this kind of weird conglomerate. It was supposed to be something sort of Protestant, but he was basically integrating all of the Protestant sects together, and then with a big emphasis on how the state was essentially the most important thing, and was to be worshipped and respected
I,
as a religious entity.
I think that it's one of the things that, well, first of all, as far as the creationist thing, I think Hitler, when I say Hitler was a creationist, I just mean that he thinks there was a God that caused some special creation.
Yes, yeah,
Um,
yes, you are absolutely right in that. Yeah,
and and while he didn't like that, he didn't care so much for Darwinian evolution because he, of course, believed
he
eugenics and
believed in
all
a
that stuff.
bastardized version of Darwin's
Right.
evolution. Yeah,
Well, I think that's the thing that theists grab onto is they say,
they do.
well, he used a social Darwinianism, so
Yes,
uh,
absolutely.
that's
He did it
Darwin, and he
to.
must have been an atheist, even though
Right,
Darwin
exactly.
wasn't an
He
atheist.
used Darwinian evolution to bolster his belief that Jews and whatever other groups that he didn't like, that they were inferior. He used that to his advantage, but he didn't subscribe to the what we think of as traditional, Darwinian evolution. He just he
Oh,
used
right.
it to uh, basically be racist and be an
Yeah.
asshole. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
That's
theists always do that. Is and even with Darwin, because of the way that the title is, the races, but they use that instead of like species back then. They always conflate the language that was used, and it's because
Yeah.
Darwin was notoriously like anti-racist. Didn't subscribe to any of that
Well,
bullshit.
it's funny that because he it was called social Darwinianism, like that they make that tie because it's first of all it's not even close to the same thing.
No,
It's it has nothing to do with the I mean because the main thing in
they coined that
evolution
term.
is natural selection.
Right.
And
They coined that term
yeah,
and used it in an icky way.
yeah, yeah, to
Yeah.
support eugenics. Yeah.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
yeah, Hitler had some weird ideas about things.
Real weird. Yeah.
It
And he was very publicly, he was, all about the church, but it was only it was a publicity stunt essentially,
yeah,
because he knew that he invoked God and religion only as far as it would take him to get his to get the general population to agree with his the atrocities that he was committing. Because in public he was like he, he was really anti-Christian, super anti-Christian. And even like he told Goebbels like that he wasn't allowed to leave the church. He would go on and on about how shitty they were, but then because he wanted the public to think that everybody was still righteous or whatever, like he wouldn't let his people closest to him to officially leave. He himself didn't officially leave. He would be seen in public in various churches and stuff, and in his speeches he mentions God and that kind of stuff, but privately, he definitely believed in God, but it was definitely more of a deistic sort of God, like God created all the things, and then after that is just sort of this entity that should be reveled, but who he thinks is still kind of an idiot. I don't know. His views were really all over the place, and then he had this weird occult sort of thing going on, and he took a lot of Norse and pagan sort of symbolism. The blood and soil, that was all Norse mythology. Um, yeah, it was weird amalgamation of a bunch of different stuff. But yeah, I saw that clip that Aaron and Forrest did, and I was like, I've had enough. I can't take it anymore. So I had
yeah.
already written that out, and finally was like, okay, we're
It
just gonna.
definitely got. Oh, sorry.
No,
It
go ahead.
definitely got very culty though, didn't it? There. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, super culty.
yeah.
Thank you.
The that's what he made it. He left the L out of his name.
Yes.
But
What the fuck? Let me look again.
yeah,
Bake McGee.
Bake McKee.
Okay,
Okay,
that's easy.
good enough. Yeah, send it to me. I'll send it to him in just a second. Uh, yeah. Like it's weird that throughout recent history, like if you made some comparison, if I went online and somebody I didn't like, I compared them to Nazis or Hitler or something, that's like a big social no-no or whatever. But now all of a sudden we have a candidate for president who goes on stage and quotes Hitler constantly, and
Yeah,
everybody's just like, that's who I
calling
want
the
as president. Yeah.
right, calling the left vermin, like
Yeah.
that whole speech that he did. That this was many months ago, but some of it was verbatim from Hitler, and yeah, I guess it was
You got me cash
part of what irritated me was that that kind of rhetoric is kind of ramped up now because of Trump and his idiocy. So I just think it's even though atheists try to use it as like a dig on Christians, and then Christians try to use it as a dig on atheists. It's like, no, you're both fucking wrong. So just quit. Like, stop trying to use that as a valid argument, because it neither side, it doesn't bolster your argument at all, because that's not what the truth is.
Right. Yeah.
It's just to get a dig at the other, and that it's not, they're not arguing, and honestly.
Yeah, no, that's the weird thing with politics, though, isn't it? Like,
Indeed.
it depends on tribalism, but at the same time, you have to kind of keep an eye on it, because the left's guilty of that shit too.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. They will eat their own. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. And it's easy to, especially if you watch any kind of like mass media, like it's easy to get caught up in those things and think, oh, well, that's my side is winning. And one of the things that I thought was just not a great look, is after this whole shooting thing happened with Trump or whatever, that everybody was waiting to see if he was from the left or the right, and that was going to determine how their narrative went from there, because
and then it turned out that he donated to a Democrat, but then he was a registered Republican, and everybody's like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, that was chef's kiss. It was, yeah, just shoot yourself in the foot. But yeah, it's kind of gross that we're all sitting there like, what side's he on? It's.
Well, I'm going to be careful about how far I go down this road, because the show I'm doing with Stephanie Sunday is conversations in a tribal world, So
yeah. Actually, we're gonna Wavelength. We're gonna have a show on Saturday night. I think it's 7 or 8. No, don't quote me on that. I think it's 7. About Biden dropping out and voting third party, and because when Dave came on and pissed me off, and Dave's been he's been hot recently, and he's had several hot takes on the election, and he's got a massive platform, and I think that he's being really irresponsible with it currently. But I would be interested in knowing whether he'd be willing to vote for Kamala. But yeah, his throwing away a vote, it's like, this is not the election for protest votes. It's just not. He's in a place of extreme privilege to be able to have that thought that he can just throw away his vote. But
to me, and it's weird how otherwise intelligent, well thought people, when it comes to politics, just completely fall apart and go batshit crazy.
Right. But, yeah. And Dave has admitted himself that he's
batshit crazy, but
well, yeah, absolutely not. I mean, but he's admitted himself that he doesn't know jack shit about politics, and it's pretty obvious by how he speaks that he doesn't. But yeah, he as a white cis married dude, like he's at a place of extreme privilege where there are those of us who are worried about how we're going to exist in a Trump presidency that he doesn't have to worry about.
Right. We have this weird thing going on though, where it's like, I think Americans, even stupid ones, which there's a lot of, I think that they understand like patriotism and basically democracy and stuff, but it gets to this point to where, and I hear this all the time, like people around me, and where I live is so poor that it's silly that anyone would ever vote for Trump, just based on the
right has been voting against their own interests for 60 years now.
Yeah.
Like,
And yet
yeah,
the story is they all vote for Trump here.
right.
And they love it. And it's like, they're like, well, Trump will lower overtime tax. That way I make more money on overtime. And it's like, no, he's not going to do
No,
that,
he's
first of
not.
all.
Yeah.
But even if he was going to, you're willing to like, there can be a trail of dead bodies and harm everyone else because
Hmm.
you want to make an extra $100 this year. Like,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. It's
it
pretty
sometimes
gross.
it's hard to get people to see the bigger picture. Like,
Hmm.
sure, you're pissed off that Biden supported Netanyahu and this and that. I am too. I think that was the wrong choice.
I
But
don't personally, but
well, and that's fine. But I
I'd
think,
rather I'd rather support people that actually like us than support people that want to see us dead.
well,
But
you
that's just
don't have to do either, though. Uh, the I think that even though that's the case, though, that Trump is the bigger danger in the election, right?
absolutely,
So
yeah. Project 2025, because it's not even Trump. Trump
yeah,
is
that's a
Trump
deal
is the
breaker.
puppet. Yeah,
Yeah,
Trump is the puppet. It's Project 2025 that's gonna fuck over everybody.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I saw a poll that like 76% of Americans have never heard of Project 2025. I've been screaming about it for months and months and months and months and months, and like, that I feel like, because it's so wild that I sound like a conspiracy theorist, like nutcase, when I'm, like trying to have these conversations with people about what's in this platform, because it's so crazy. It's so fucking crazy that they're like, that can't possibly be. Like, no, that's their platform. That's what they're,
Well,
it's right there. 900 pages of
something I've been
crazy.
saying, something I've been saying for a long time is that the Republican Party has depended on people to either not look into the things they're saying or just believe them
Mhm.
at face value. They've depended on that.
Their
And with
electorate is
Project,
ignorant as
yeah,
fuck, and they know that, and they use it to their advantage.
yeah,
Absolutely.
with Project 2025, you the ideas that are in it are so extreme that
Hmm.
at face value, it's like, well, that's just fear mongering, and they do that, and both
Right.
sides do that in politics. That's true.
Right.
There's, that's just hyperbole and all this stuff, but
Hmm.
they they um they don't realize that this is actually the plan this time. Like,
This
it's
is
not
just the stuff that they're
hyperbole.
right.
It's
This is just the stuff
exactly
that
what
they're
they said.
comfortable letting people know about. There's
Well, some furries
written
hacked it now, so
written in that 900 page manifesto is a lot of really questionable language that makes it
I
very
agree.
clear that this is the beginning of something that, because like I said, this is just what they're comfortable telling people, and it's still this batshit insane. You know that there's more. And when you look at the language of some of the stuff that they're proposing, it's very evident that they've got they've got other things in mind too, that had, if the public knew the full extent of what they're planning, then I don't
Yeah.
think anybody would actually be on board except for the most extreme of the extreme.
I think you're exactly right. Honestly, I agree with you.
There's
The
some really clever, very clever language that's in
Yeah,
that document. Yeah.
yeah. When it talks about illegal immigrants and
Hmm.
invasions and
Hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of dog whistle terms that are being thrown around in there.
Very much. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then the people that excuse me, the people that go around promoting it uh, say even worse things. But
Right. Yeah.
it's
And it's wild to me that we live in a time where so many people are comfortable saying the quiet part out loud. like, they just wear their racism like right on, and their bigotry right on their sleeve. And, when they say
Yeah.
batshit insane stuff, like nobody
I mean,
blinks, the
when
rest of
you
us are
look at
going, what the fuck?
you
And
look
like
at
their
the
whole
Bible,
base is like, yeah, whatever.
a term that's been thrown around here lately is this DEI hire term,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and that's just
It's
gross.
just it's just racist code because like that, yeah, they've been throwing that about Kamala, because she's a brown woman. Like, make it more obvious,
Yeah,
guys. Like, because,
they've attacked her for being a woman and brown so far.
right. That's all they got. Like I haven't looked, I'll go ahead and be honest. Like, I haven't looked at like the deep seedy parts of her past, like when she was a prosecutor and stuff. I mean, overall, I think most of the stuff that she's done has been pretty good. I don't think that throwing a bunch of people in jail for marijuana charges is, all that great. But, if that's the worst of it, like, okay,
Right.
and she's also allowed to change her mind. So, you know,
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's important because one of the things that I have done, and you've witnessed this in real time before, is that my mind can be changed about things. Like
yeah,
I'm not, you know, I understand that I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, right?
but
Um,
you're not dogmatic, and
right.
yeah.
Um,
It's funny
sometimes
because it's like atheists don't have a worldview or something.
I hate that term,
I know,
worldview.
it
I could
drives
go
me
without
nuts.
hearing about my worldview for the rest of my life and be just fine.
Same,
Fucking
yeah, same,
assholes. Your worldview is this. You don't know shit
yeah,
about what my worldview is. It's not as pretty as you think.
right, yeah. I've got plenty of hot takes that
Yeah.
lots of people have seemed
Yeah, I
to
mean, at
want to
the end of the
crucify me
day,
for. Yeah,
at the end of the day, I mean, I'm so I have a platform and I have to kind of think about what I'm
you
going
have
to
to be
say because of
responsible.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you have to be
yeah.
at least if you want to grow that platform anyway
Hmm.
and not just be despised. I mean,
Right.
don't get me wrong, you can grow a platform out of despise. You can do it just by making people hate you. I mean, everyone knows who Darth Dawkins is because they hate him.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I've created a brand of myself. It's just myself, but I'm a bitch, It's like,
yeah, yeah. I
um,
mean,
but I just say what, I'm not
you're
afraid to tell people to fuck off,
you're an honest bitch though.
Yeah, exactly. I'm absolutely an honest bitch, and it bites me in the ass sometimes. And I have opinions that not everybody agrees with, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah,
I don't want people to love me.
yeah.
Just listen,
Well,
give me a shot.
it's also easy though whenever you have an opinion or you you really think you're right about something, like whenever you because I do that too. I'm not definitely not pointing any fingers at anyone for it because I'm guilty of that too. But
Yeah, and I've definitely been wrong.
and
I've been
it's that
corrected.
moment when you realize like not only was I wrong, but like this is completely stupid. Like,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah,
And I'm fine with saying, okay, all right.
yeah,
I had a
yeah,
I had a dumb take. All right, let's move on with life.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Me too.
I absolutely do not mind somebody saying, because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to say dumb wrong things and just keep saying the same dumb wrong things. Like,
It,
if I'm gonna be a bitch on the internet with some hot takes, then like you gotta be prepared for somebody to be like, yeah, that take kind of sucks,
yeah,
and you've got to be able to take those hits and say, yeah, okay, maybe I should like rethink this and
and
adjust accordingly. I think that's the only honest and healthy thing to do.
Well, one of the cool things with the atheist community, especially, is like once you know, like if you if you're wrong about something and someone corrects you about it or whatever, and you're able to um, get to some point to where once you get to the point, and I'm saying this if you are actually wrong,
Mhm.
you get to the point to where you accept what you know, like, okay, I was wrong, and let's pivot and go this way and correct this.
Yeah.
They're very forgiving and even applauding
Um,
to well, not all. There's never anything that applies to all, but
mm,
there's you know, for the most part though, the atheist community likes to see people get it right. You know, like
yeah.
um, they don't
I
they don't
definitely
want you
think.
to stay wrong.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just saying they don't want you to stay wrong.
Right. I think that there's I think our community wants to, like, they don't want to,
Be
like,
drama.
crucify somebody. Yeah, they don't we have a reputation of, you know, being the cancel culture people, but I honestly think that most people just want to see somebody, you know, if they're wrong, just, you know, fix it. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
just
Just let's move on. You know, like
let's move on then. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Like, you know, it's like, just call it out. Don't be a dick about it. And then when somebody says, okay, yeah, I fucked up, you know, and then,
yeah,
like, we'll move on with life. Like, I don't think that people in our community want to take people down necessarily. I mean,
no,
there's always going to be bad actors. There's always going to be people that are just um, contrarians for the sake of being contrarians.
overzealous.
Right. Yeah. And there is a lot of, like, eating our own sometimes, like looking for controversy where there isn't any.
Yeah,
And I think that is mostly because we deal with a lot of really touchy subjects that, you know,
yeah,
that involve people's personhood and who they are as humans, and that the right doesn't really have to deal with.
well,
And so because of that, we have to tread lightly about certain things. But um, I think that if people are trying to do their best about being inclusive and being allies, and, you know, that, you know, you shouldn't,
I tell you
you
a
know,
funny
just like
thing.
look, right, like look for things that, you know, it's like nobody's
Yeah,
going to be a perfect representative for anything. Like, it's not going to
starting
happen.
drama in order to get there isn't the right way either, though, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
agree. I agree with that. I don't. I've had several things occur to where I've had to remove myself from uh, drama and things, and
Yeah,
I don't,
same.
and I'm talking stupid YouTube drama stuff, not
Yeah,
really important stuff, like just
right.
like this. I'll tell you something funny that happened. And I don't even know if I should talk about this, if it's going to cause problems or not, but I'm going to anyway. I caught always good to see Issa.
Okay,
I
brother.
caught a stream
Hi, Ethan.
where
Hey, how are you, Earl? Pleasure.
Good. Good to see you.
I
Sorry about last time about we didn't get connected. I was out in the woods, so I lost your
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that.
it happens. I did that once while I was trying to stream
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
with Michael
You just
Beverly.
lost it. Yeah, I
I was
remember
out
that.
behind fucking buggies and shit, like
Buggies.
trying to stream in Amish country. Didn't work out at
Yeah,
all.
that was funny.
Uh, what's up, Pinworm? Good to see you. The so I was watching. Well, actually, I got a message about it about Azo on Missing Mods channel, something that had been said or whatever, and um, it was funny because Azo was actually forced to take my side on something, and he didn't like doing it really. But
Probably tasted real bad on the way out. Yeah.
well, a long time ago,
Mhm.
right before we had Matt come on the show, Bubblegum Gun had made a comment that he was going to say this and this awful thing. I'm not going to repeat it, but he was going to say this thing, and we immediately just went ahead and banned him from the channel completely. That way,
Yeah.
we didn't have to worry about that.
He's a
There
shitty
was some
human.
controversy going on at the time with Thomas Sheedy and all that, and I was afraid of people coming into the chat and saying bigoted, crazy shit because of all that happened. And
Yeah.
we had kind of publicly destroyed Thomas Sheedy, and I didn't so much do the destroying. I just kind of guided it a little bit from the background. But Azzo was on there, and he was like, Bubblegum Gun was going on about it. I should have said this, and what's wrong with this, and what's wrong with that, and all this stuff. And Azzo was like, well, I hate to do it, but I'm gonna have to agree with Joe on this one. Like you're just wrong. And I put in the comments, I was like, yeah, when Azzo's agreeing with me that the dude has to be wrong, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Dude has to be fucking up. Yeah. For
yeah,
sure.
you got me and Azzo agreeing on shit again. He's got to be wrong. Which
Yeah.
I haven't even seen what Azzo's been doing since then. I haven't
No, I
even
haven't either.
noticed that he's. I guess he's still out there doing stuff, but I'm sure he's doing something. But I
I
haven't
don't
heard
know.
from him.
I haven't talked to him in a minute.
Well, I usually don't even if this wasn't a members only stream, I wouldn't even mention his name.
Yeah.
Just for his sake, not
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, not because like I have hate or anything. I could.
Right. Yeah. No.
That whole
Don't-
thing was fucking stupid. Like
So stupid.
now,
It was so dumb.
him going and I think whenever he went online and said I was sucking dick and all that stuff, I think he was kind of flailing. Like it was just
yeah.
he was
That
just
was really
thrashing out
uncomfortable.
because he didn't know what to do, I guess. And while me and him will no longer be friends, of course, I don't really take that all that personally, and I'm not really upset or bothered.
It was low blows for the sake of low blows, and they weren't all that clever. So, it's like just let it die, essentially.
And I think really like that's the thing. I just wanted to move on and continue to do things the way I wanted to do them. And, like the political show, I got you, Issa. The political show, I would have never done the political show with Azzo here because he would have had a conniption over it.
No doubt.
Especially talking about Republicans all the time and stuff and some of the things
Well,
they do.
he thinks he's a Republican, but he's
not.
He's not. He's
a Republican. He's the only real rhino out there.
He's the only real rhino. Yeah, that's exactly right. He's attached to that word because it feels comfy for him. But
like far less even.
Yeah, yeah. It's bizarre to me that being like that attached to a label.
Yeah. Well, there's like a thing here, like and you experience this too in the South. It's like, you're not only a Christian but a proud Republican. Like that's part of it. Like, that's part of the good old boy persona. And
absolutely.
So I feel like there's like this cultural influence there that he's like, if I'm not a Republican like everybody else that I've known my whole life, then they're not gonna want to fuck with me either. So then I'm gonna be a Republican with Democratic ideas that neither side likes because I claim Republican but talk Democrat. It's a weird thing, but
yeah.
What are you up to, Issa?
He could call himself a libertarian. A lot of Republicans.
That's worse.
A sexy term.
Yeah, but libertarians are dumb as shit.
Libertarian's the new nerd.
oh god, I just can't. Like their whole ideology like seems like cool and hip on the surface, and then you just scratch it, and it all, none of it makes any sense. It all falls apart. It's all illogical. It's all inconsistent.
You don't
Like,
think Ayn Rand is amazing? You're not like you don't think she's like the legendary prophet?
no.
You gotta love
I mean,
Atlas Shrugged.
she had a couple of good takes in there, but like they're few and far between. She's yeah, they're deity,
Yeah.
pretty gross.
But I mean, I think it would be better just to have more parties in the United States. I think having a strong libertarian and green party would help. It would shift the parties. Unfortunately, we're stuck with two parties that are they're not really doing their job, and that's the
No.
problem.
Well, we're stuck with one party that is absolutely doing its job, and then we're stuck with another party that is a
Batshit
conglomeration. No, the one party, the batshit crazy people, the right, they're all coalesced. They're good. They're solid. They move in a mass. That's why they've done the horrible shit that they've been able to accomplish, is because they move as a unit.
Yeah.
Democrats is like
Yeah, I
herding cats. There's a bajillion little teeny factions, and they all have their own little identity politics problems, and like their focus is on shit that like needs to be worried about later, and it
I have
really
to
is like
say,
herding cats, like trying to get the Democrats to there's
yeah,
anyway.
sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt. I do that all the time. I don't mean to do it. I really don't.
It's fine.
Um,
We're under a huge tent, and
Yeah.
we're very
Well-
diverse, and so trying to put all of that together and get people to move as a unit. That's why Democrats are so bad at doing politics, because they can't rally around one thing for a hot second just to get that thing done. It's like, if it's not done, and it's not done in the perfect way that is, perfect for all people involved, then it can't happen at all. And so then things just don't happen. The Republicans are able to say, okay, this is our thing. They've got Fox noise like in their head saying this is the issue, and then they go and they do that thing with that issue. And that's why they're very effective at creating the clusterfuck that we are currently living in.
Well, see, though, here's the thing with all that, though. I think the Republicans are organized, but I don't think it's aimed at governing. It's aimed at culture war.
Oh yeah, no, completely agree. Yeah, 100% agree.
So while they are 100% behind, acting like assholes and bigots,
Right.
they're not accomplishing anything within the scope of their job.
Oh yeah, no, they're awful at like, they create a thing, and they do the culture war thing, but like, because there's a Democrat, like, for instance, the immigration reform, right? There was a bill that was put on there. They've been screaming about, migrant crime and like these buzzwords and all this shit that like objectively does not exist. And so they get a bill. There's a whole bill that has immigration reform, and what do? They kill it. It's like they don't actually want to see anything get done. They don't, because they think that it'll be a win for the Democrats, so they can't possibly like do the thing that they're bitching about and like help to fix the thing. They just want to scream real loud. And then it's like when during Obama's entire his whole 8 years, Mitch McConnell made it his mission. It was that he was going to make Obama's terms, like he was going to vote down literally everything that he put, that was his mission. He said that on day one when he got inaugurated, that, he was going to make sure that Obama couldn't get shit done. And they're good at being obstructionists. It's for frustrating, certainly, but yeah, the they can't. They do get things done though. It's just they get things done like the Supreme Court or getting somebody in and getting all so many judges have been appointed under Trump that have made it easier for Project 2025 to come to fruition. They're able to move things forward that are the really scary shit that's like in the back burner that the public isn't necessarily aware of. To like line up all this stuff. I mean, they've been playing a long game, like with Roe v. Wade, knocking that down. They've been doing that campaign for 50 years. That's all that they were focused.
Yeah.
And they did it. So yeah, it's not necessarily about putting laws in action or doing their job. Really, it's the culture wars create a push to make things like the Supreme Court happen and to overturn. I mean, they've lined up, the Supreme Court. They put those cases in front of them.
Yeah.
They made that happen. It seems like they're, instead of actually getting things done, it's like their main focus is to get things undone.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's frustrating as a member of the left, that the herding cats thing. It's but I'm happy to see that so many people are rallying behind Kamala. That is a little I'm a little hopeful about that. I was kind of shocked. I mean, there's definitely like two camps where people are like, there are people saying that Biden dropping out is the worst thing ever, and you just handed the election to Trump and blah blah blah. And then there's the other side that I've now sort of moved to that think that it was like, I think it's the right thing that he stepped down. But I'm learning more about Kamala made me kind of change my mind about her, because I never liked her. She's just she's odd. Like, she says weird shit, but evidently Gen Z kind of likes that about her. So if that motivates them to vote, then let her talk about coconuts. Like, whatever.
Coconuts.
Yeah. Yeah, she said some weird shit.
Yeah.
She has a tendency to kind of do a word salad thing kind of frequently when she's being interviewed and stuff. Yeah, she's kind of an odd duck, but I don't think she's incompetent. So
right. I mean, if that's what, if we can take the definition of being strange back to what Kamala is, rather than what Trump and Biden are,
I'd much rather.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd much rather have her like just sort of like, I'm kind of a goofball.
Let your freak flag fly, bitch.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Just exactly. Because whatever Trump's got going on, I don't want any part of that shit. That man, vile.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly, Michael. For sure. Yeah.
It's
Do you mind if I piggyback?
Yeah, what were you gonna say, Agisa?
I want to piggyback off of something you said, Earl. You brought up a point about how the Republicans are an efficient party and the Democrats are not. And I think there's another thing we need to add, is that the Democrats have been treacherous.
Sorry, you broke up. They've been what?
Oh, I was saying that the Democrats have been treacherous to their constituents. A former President Trump was elected by the constituency, and they accepted it. But the Democrats basically did this shill election to push out Bernie Sanders, who was the candidate that the Democrats chose. And I think that makes people not
Well,
trust the Democrats. You know,
Trump did not win the popular vote, first of all. And second of all, Bernie voters, a lot of Bernie voters voted for Trump.
well,
They
and I get
got
that
they got
because
butthurt. They got butthurt that he didn't win the nomination, and they did what they did, and I will not
but
forgive them.
But wouldn't you say that it was a kind of a treacherous move where they said we're all going to get behind Joe Biden, and we're just going to be like, okay, all of these candidates are all going to go leave, and they all were in there to defeat Bernie. I find that to be kind of something that would be very appalling to someone who strongly supports Bernie Sanders. You know.
Well, I mean, Bernie had some good ideas. I agree that um, I he didn't win though.
And I understand that, but the thing is, what people are upset about is that they're saying, hey, the Democrat Party betrayed their constituents and said, hey, we don't care what you want. We're going to collude against your candidate, and we're going to do everything we can so your candidate won't be elected. That seems to be something that would be pretty problematic to someone who would support Bernie, and I think I could understand why they would say, no, I'm done with these Democrats. Do you understand what I mean? I think that is a problem
Yes, and
politically
yeah,
speaking.
I think it's a problem not of the Democratic Party. I think it's a problem with Bernie voters. I think that they got butthurt and they sabotaged because they got butthurt.
Well, they feel I would say, from my understanding of speaking with them, they feel that the Democrats sabotaged them. They're saying they had a popular candidate, and they said, look, Trump is a candidate that these people decided they wanted, and the Republicans, regardless, it wasn't in their interest. It's not in the interest of Jeb Bush and, your kind of mainstream Republican to push Trump. But they said, the voters wanted him, so they got him. And the Democrats said, they had their popular candidate instead of their
That's not
mainstream
true, though.
candidate. Huh?
Well, so
That's not true.
what do you
They
mean?
fought
Yeah,
tooth and
I guess
nail.
I'm confused about who sabotaged.
The Republicans fought tooth and nail against Trump even after he got the nomination. It wasn't until shortly after that they accepted that and started to back him. They tried every which way in the world to stab Trump in the back and just couldn't get it done. Nobody cared about all the awful shit he had done.
Right. Yeah, they totally thought that I did. They thought that his candidacy was over once the, grab him by the pussy shit came out, the Access Hollywood, and it did nothing. It did nothing. That, says a lot about their voter base. But I'm confused as to who sabotaged whom.
Well, from the Bernie Sanders perspective, the people who voted for Bernie Sanders, their
Mm-hmm.
perspective, because I'm around very progressive leftist folks, those
Mm-hmm.
who really strongly support Bernie Sanders, their
Mm-hmm.
argument was that they're like, look, these Democrats are completely corrupt. They're only interested in their corporate interests. They actually have no real interest in the people. They continue to push their interests. They continue to be jingoistic and go to other countries and invade other countries and do all of these things. Why would I vote for these people? These people they're just they're basically Republican light. They don't actually have my interests in positionality. They're not progressive. They're not populist.
Who did we
So why would I
invade?
vote for them?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the reality of
Yeah.
those
The
statements.
last invasion done by America was into the Middle East, and it was done under a Republican president, not a Democrat.
Right.
What about
Yeah.
Libya? What would you say about Libya under the President Obama's administration? How would you engage that? How about the extrajudicial killings of people in the Middle East? Like, How would you engage that type of thing?
Is
For
that a new
progressives,
thing
that's a
under
problem.
Obama? Because it
But
wasn't.
it was Obama. President Obama did do those things, so that's a problem.
So did Bush.
Yeah, of
Yeah, so did
course.
Bush.
No, but the point is, a progressive would be like, no, I'm not supporting a Democrat because you're doing the same policies that I'm against. Why would I support you? That's
But
the
Well,
that's
point.
if we rule them out for that, then you can't vote for anybody because
anybody.
they've
Yeah.
all done
Well,
it.
you would vote for Jill Stein. You vote for the person. That's what a progressive believes in. They believe in their values. They don't believe in the least
Yeah, but you realize that that's a
the
very
lowest
small
company.
minority of the electorate, right?
Well, I'm saying these are like the kind of what you would call the Bernie Bros. These are people who are like, I want someone who is supporting my
Yeah, and
initiative.
I think that they're Pollyanna-ish and don't, are thinking that world peace is possible, and it's just not. You can't. Our country is what our country is, and trying to create a whole different sort of utopia when most of the electorate doesn't side with that. I don't know. I'm having a hard time understanding why I should care. That sounds harsh, but like I guess I'm not really understanding why it matters what Bernie Bros have to say.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is I'm saying that I think understanding the context of where we are in our elections, why certain people may not vote for Democrats, I think there can be a justified understanding whether we agree or disagree, that they're not doing it. They're justified in their own kind of positionality. So, like, if people are complaining that, hey, the Democratic candidate wasn't elected, well, I mean, maybe the Democrats just have to do a better job in, doing politics. And until they do that, they're not going to get people as a cohesive unit against them. And I think you made a really good argument about Republicans. They have a much more cohesive base. People are like, you know what? This is the banner. We're sticking with it, and we're going with it. And Democrats just don't have it because it's fragmented. You have progressives who are Democrats. You have your centrists who are basically Republican lights. You have you have moderates. You have such a huge, vast ocean of stuff that it makes things hard, to get anything really done.
It depends on
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
like, I mean, if you're a Democrat who the only way you were going to be Democrat is if Bernie was elected, and you want to give your vote to a third party, knowing that will benefit the Republican candidate, then you've half-assed voted for the Republican candidate, pretty much. I mean, but we all have the right to vote here, and it's your right to vote for whichever person is on the ticket that you want to support. And that part of it is 100%. That's on you. It's up to you, and you can share it or not. It's one of those few things that is a right that's guaranteed, and whatever, you vote for whoever you want. But it depends on what your goals are. If your goal was to have somebody who is more like Bernie, making policy and stuff, then you would vote for the Democratic nominee and get behind the party that Bernie was representing. Because
you'll have a better chance you'll have a better chance of at least getting maybe something on your, something that you're passionate about. You'll have more of a chance to get some of that done than you would with a Christo-fascist,
authoritarian.
Authoritarian dictator. Like, I think that the Bernie Bros were doing an all or none, and they fucked up.
And they got none.
They got none. Yeah, exactly. They instead of taking what they could get, they just didn't eat. And then now they're bitching about, it's right. exactly. And I think that it's I think that the Bernie Bros were childish. They were very childish, and they fucked over a lot of people because they ended up voting for Trump because they thought that, I'm just going to do a protest vote or whatever, like, because they got butthurt. And it's like, that's not the way the world works. You if you aren't, it sucks, but we're a two-party system. We just are. And
If
so
you play all or nothing all the time, you're going to lose all the
you're
time.
going to lose. Yeah. And Bernie Bros were doing all or nothing and they lost. And now they're bitching because they didn't get anything. Like, I don't know. Biden has done great things for this country. He's done he's been the most progressive and effectual president that we've had in my lifetime. He's gotten a lot of shit done, and so for I don't know. Bernie people piss me off. I'll just be honest. they fucked
Well,
over
the
a
fact
lot of
that
people.
Biden did accomplish things leaves the Bernie people standing there like, okay, we ended up supporting this awful person. We were
Mhm.
wrong, but rather than admitting they're wrong, they want to bitch about the Democratic Party itself. And it's
Right.
like, I'm sorry that your favorite person didn't get the nomination, but if you're in an all or nothing, you're going to lose.
You're
You
gonna
should have
lose.
been more interested in what you could have got out of it after the fact.
Mhm.
And Bernie could have pushed to
Lived in
have
reality.
those things passed to get his base to follow
And
along.
that's what I was just about to say, is that Bernie then did not get behind Hillary. He never went and was like, no, we gotta rally behind her. We've gotta, he never did that. He did some sort of half-assed, like, but he never took his people and put them in her camp. And I understand, did I hold my nose and vote for Hillary? Absolutely. But again, I did not want to live in a Christo-fascist authoritarian dictatorship.
Yeah.
So, Bernie kind of fucked over a lot of people. And he did it because he was butthurt. And then the Bernie Bros voted the way they voted because they were butthurt. And, I hear you, but like,
It's unfortunate that they got butt hurt.
yeah, like, sorry, sucks to suck, but like it, like,
Yeah.
you got to grow up and realize, like, okay, this is the reality that we're living in. How can I make the best of this situation? And they did not do that. And now they're crying, woe is me, I got butt hurt, and I don't have any sympathy for that. So,
Yep.
sorry, Issa.
I hear you. I
I'm
understand
not trying to
your
be an asshole,
perspective.
but like,
I mean, I understand your perspective. I'm just saying I'm thinking as like a political analyst in this situation, and I'm saying I understand where these people are coming from. They don't care. They don't see it your way. They see it, hey, look, I have a principle,
they see it
and
their
I'm
way.
saying my principle. Yeah, they
Yeah,
say I have
and
my
that's really
principle.
selfish and really fucking stupid. That's what I'm saying.
And I hear that. I think their point of view is that they're like, there's so much corruption. I'm like, why would I want to promote corruption? I'm like, I'm either going to support transformation or I'm going to stick with maintaining.
They're not
corruption.
supporting transformation.
Well, I'm just
They're
saying
not
that's
doing
their
that.
point of view. That's their point
They're
of view. That's what they
they're
believe.
they're saying all of this and then not supporting transformation in the little bit that they could possibly get. They're not doing that.
Well,
They're hypocrites.
let's take a step back here and admit that what the sensible conversation is within this isn't necessarily how the people that are voting see it. And
Right.
I think that's what the Issa's trying to point out is like,
I get that. I just,
yeah, And I mean, okay, so let's be realistic for a minute. Like Joe Biden was running for president, right? And the whole reason Joe Biden stepped down isn't because he wanted to, or isn't because he didn't think he could win, but
Right.
it's because the voters didn't have confidence in him, and it was looking like that he couldn't win. And so he stepped down to, and Kamala is going to run because Kamala does have the numbers and the support and the age and all those things to do it. So it's about who is able to get the job done. And that's what happened with Bernie too. Bernie had a lot of cool ideas that people loved, but the thing was is our government was never going to let any of that shit happen. And so it was dead on arrival. And as soon as that got pointed out by the Republican person talking of like, yeah, that's your fantasy, but nobody's actually going to do those things. It would have been bad for Bernie. Whereas they knew somebody that I don't know why they thought she was so electable. I mean, she was the
I don't either.
She was the most experienced person for it, I guess. But I mean, there's so much controversy and bodies and corruption and things.
Her
behind
baggage was just like,
yeah,
fucking hell. Yeah.
yeah. That was stupid on the Democrats all the way around.
Agreed.
But to then vote against your own self-interest and fuck yourself because you don't like what happened, just makes you look dumb. I mean, like it doesn't make people.
I mean, I agree. I think that's normal that people vote against their own self-interest. Look at most Southern Republican voters. I mean, a lot of these welfare programs are going to help them, and they're voting against their own interests.
That there's a difference between what people should vote for and what they do support, right? Because technically, Biden should be able to walk away with this. He's been one of the greatest presidents ever. But if they don't have confidence in him to do it, then it doesn't fucking matter, really, does it? So, yeah, I agree with you in some way, Issa, because there is a difference in how the voters view the candidate and how the candidate views the electorate. You know, like it's two different things.
As much as Republicans want to cry about, facts don't care about your feelings, that's how people vote, is based on their feelings. Because let's be honest, our electorate is not very well educated on how the government works. So they see the propaganda and the spin of, whatever it is, and they vote accordingly. So, if their fifis aren't in the right spot, then
Fifi, I ain't heard that since jail.
I say fifis all the time. There.
But yeah, it's unfortunate that you have to like stop for a second and say, now wait a second, how does the majority of Americans who are quite stupid about this, how do they view it and make decisions based on not what's best or what's fact or any of that, but based on how it's going to be interpreted by people who know nothing. And that is that's why we need to support education.
Yep. That's why we need to get civics back into classrooms. That's why we need to vote for Kamala, so that we don't have to, get rid of, civil rights, being taught in schools. And like, maybe we could learn from our mistakes. For fuck's sake. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, Isa. I wasn't trying to shit all over you. I just, the Bernie people are,
special kind of assholes.
Yeah, exactly. I have thoughts, and they're not very kind.
I'm just joking. That's just rhetoric. I do think that, I mean, what's most important? That's going to be a subjective question for each person. To the rich guy that's never struggled a day in his life, getting 10% more back on taxes this year is what's most important to him.
Gonna save them millions of dollars. Yeah.
To people who have lived actual struggles and stuff, seeing people struggle less is probably more important to them.
Mhm.
So then at the end, you have all these different people, and you have to look at what are these people going to vote for, and what can we actually accomplish that they want.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's unfortunate that that's the way it is, and I think our voting system is completely fucking broke and needs
I
overhauled
agree.
completely.
I want the Electoral College to die
Yeah,
a slow, painful death. Get rid of
but
it. Because that's how Republicans win. That's how they've won for the last, what,
the
30
only way they
years?
have one since 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because they don't win the popular vote. They can't. Because they're nuts. But they keep getting elected. So, yeah.
That's why they direct a lot of their policies at preventing people from voting in sneaky various ways.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have water while you stand in line for 3 hours. You can't.
Right.
You have to drive 3 towns over, and you can only do it during this 30-minute period. Like they just make
Mm-hmm.
all these stupid rules because the
Yep.
way they win is
It's
by
to suppress
shaving
the
off
vote.
Democratic voters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they don't have the vote. They never have. It's always been that way.
Funny how the party of like the election was stolen can only win by cheating. Oy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They can only win by making it as undemocratic as possible. It's just
And then standing by and yelling that the other side cheated.
right. Yeah. The hypocrisy is
Yeah. But
tastes bad in my mouth.
I think there is this fine line though, and I think we should push every person we can to vote for Kamala and support the Democratic agenda rather than vote for anything that would come close to allowing for Project 2025 and a Trump presidency to occur. And
Mm-hmm.
so we've got a different kind of dynamic this time to where it doesn't even matter. Like they could put the color blue in, and I would absolutely vote for the color blue.
Down the line. Yep.
Because if you ask the color blue if it wants to like make my friends disappear, it doesn't answer.
It doesn't want to.
Yeah.
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 Right. I don't want
Yeah.
to be a second-class citizen because I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
Project 2025 would make that possible.
So I would rather have no president at all than anything Republican. I think watching what the Republicans do in committee and what they focus on and the things they're worrying about, fear mongering up all this shit about,
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody should see that. I think if you own a TV, they should require that you watch C-SPAN for at least an hour a day.
Mm-hmm.
It's people don't even realize what they're voting for though, because they've made Americans so fucking stupid that now it's like Trump goes on stage, oh, I'm gonna get her, I'm not gonna be nice, and thousands of people vote for him for saying that. They don't know what he has planned for anything else.
You ask a Trump voter what Trump
accomplished
has done for him, like for them. Name a policy that
Deer
he's
in the
done that
headlight.
benefited you. They
Yeah.
can't answer you.
Yeah.
Well, he, lowered taxes. Well, only if you're in a certain bracket, Well, gas prices were lower. What part of gas prices does the president have? We're not part of OPEC. Like, they can't name anything. It's a cult of personality. It's all it is, and it's
right. And it's shifted from
fucking weird.
not only can they not name anything, the reason they can't name anything is because they're only worried about what the bad things Biden has done are. That's it. They don't give
Which
a
they
shit.
they can't even name those either,
They
because
can just
most
repeat
of the
what Trump
stuff that they
said.
say he didn't ever do.
Yeah.
Because it's just, dumb shit that the right has been spewing, like this, migrant crime. This is a buzzword thing that's been happening for the last several months, that it doesn't exist. There is no migrant crime wave. There's no, Trump goes and says that migrants have taken over 107% of jobs. Like, what? That they're bringing over rapists and murderers and all this other shit. Like, what? Like, this is stuff that doesn't actually exist in real life. But when you look at the polls, what are Republicans worried about? Southern border. That's all they care about. It's their number one issue. They don't live in reality with the rest of us, and they think that Biden has just like opened up the border, when, like I said before, they had an immigration bill that they put forward and they killed it. Republicans killed it. Like, they don't actually want to fix any of this shit. They just want to scream about it and then blame the other guy when their own people voted. It's like, I've had so many conversations with Republicans where, they're crying about the southern border. It's like, well, then why didn't Republicans vote for the bill that would have, helped immigration? Well, I didn't know that, they have no idea. They have no idea that ever even happened. Fox, I mean, there are so many, like, people that watch Fox Noise are dumber than if they didn't watch the news at all. Those studies have been done. People that watch Fox regularly are less educated than if you didn't watch the news at all. That's
Yeah.
pretty scary.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary.
And this whole, like, again, education, but it's dependent on the fact that Trump can say, well, Biden's been the worst president we've ever had in history. Meanwhile, standing there being objectively the worst president we've ever had in history. Like, they
Right.
voted on it. He is
And
the
a
worst.
convicted felon, and like,
he got, she's
Yeah.
committed crimes, and it's like, what, dude? You just got convicted of 34 felonies. Like, what is
right.
the
You've
standard
been
here?
impeached twice.
But
Like,
that's different from, like, it's crazy if you know those things, but it's different than what the people of this country actually do, because they're not aware of those things, because they don't bother to fact check anything. They don't want to hear a fact check about anything. They want to continue make believing whatever the hell it is they think is true about their orange Jesus. And
they think the Mueller report said that Trump was innocent.
yeah, exonerated him.
Right. Yeah.
That's why everybody around him went to jail.
The Russian collusion, they have no idea that, like, within that whole document, it's like, yeah, we'd love to prosecute him, but we can't because he's a sitting president. But, so that weird rule thingy that happened that ended up is coming back to bite us in the ass now.
Not being prosecuted isn't the same as being exonerated.
Right. Yeah. And Mueller totally said he was guilty, like, without actually saying he was guilty. Like, yeah, he definitely, Russia was definitely involved in our elections. There was no part of that where he was like, yeah, no, that never happened. Like, but Republicans don't read. I'm not sure Trump knows how. I'm not convinced.
The only thing that throws me off, and I had family members that fought in our foreign wars. This whole, like, January 6th was absolutely him committing treason.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, there's no you read it, it falls within the definition.
Mhm.
He is absolutely a traitor to this country. He tried to overthrow our government,
Mhm.
and there's no question about whether he did that or not. I mean, we all watched it. Um,
But
the
that's
thing
the
of it is,
thing. That's the thing. I watched that happen in real time. Like I used to keep on the news all the time. Like it was always on. And I watched that unfold in real time. And then you see these Republicans that are,
peaceful protest.
peaceful protests, and they're saying this shit with a straight face. And I'm like, I saw like the gaslighting that was happening after that was like my ex-husband level of like gaslighting. It was I had never seen that so egregious. Like, obviously politicians fib. They're politicians. That's what they do. But like that level of gaslighting that they were doing, like don't trust what you saw with your own eyeballs. That was totally just a peaceful protest. Nobody got killed, nothing happened. Like they don't live in the same reality that the rest of us do.
Yeah, and so whenever it comes down to this third party voting thing now, like I think that while everybody is guaranteed their right to vote and cast a vote for whoever they want and whatever,
Mhm.
I think it's hard to deny, though, that one of these people, if you're going to vote in a way that benefits the trader, you might be helping out America's enemies.
Yep.
Um, and
Agreed.
I mean, I don't know how, because there's no thing you can justify and say, well, Biden did this, even if the Democratic nominee was a robot made out of Biden, Obama, and Bill Clinton all together, and you hate all of them for various reasons.
Right.
None of the things they have done even stand up to a little bit of what Trump has done. And so, if you vote in a way that you know is going to benefit America's enemies, then I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like,
Right. I don't have much respect for you.
yeah,
If you can't see that there's, it's not just like the lesser of two evils. Like
yeah,
that's not where we are anymore. It's not just like hold your nose and vote. Like it's like there's you're voting for our democracy, or you're voting for a Christo-fascist authoritarian dictatorship. Like those are your options. And the fact that people don't see the urgency of that and the reality of that is very concerning to me.
I mean, one guy wants to work on foreign trade, and the other one wants to kill everyone that doesn't agree with him. I mean,
Right.
like,
And do mass deportations and, make a lot of people into, not really citizens, and want to strip rights away from millions of people. And like,
yeah, that's not just a matter of two different choices, right?
this is not just like the lesser of two evils. Like this is legit evil, and then like sane, like democracy, like that. It's not just it's not you can't be that blasé about it anymore.
Right.
You just can't.
It's unfortunate that you have so many Americans that are at each other's throats, so to speak. Like there is such a divide between us over it. But again, one side went to crazy town and decided that overthrowing the government and
Right.
getting
One
rid of,
side created that division and espouses rhetoric that
yeah,
that makes us the enemy.
Yeah.
That we're they're legit enemies, that we're their combatants.
yeah.
There's
And
no
then
there's no
yeah,
like working across the aisle anymore. It's
they
they
force you to be your enemy, and then they they talk down to you for then treating them like your enemy.
Right.
I mean, like,
They foment hate. I mean,
yeah.
they legit hate against people, and then and then after after Trump got his ear blown off, then like, oh, he's gonna change his tone. And it's gonna be all about unity, and then you look at the RNC and everybody's like, they're the most destructive party. The Democrats are trying to ruin our America and blah blah blah. Like,
I've still got it here. Hold on, watch. Here we go.
The attack on Trump has changed the storyline and the tone of this convention, with the former president calling for unity.
Something has fundamentally shifted here.
This is going to be a different tone.
This is going to shift what we are hearing from every single person who takes the stage.
It is about unity. It's about coming together and supporting one another now.
More trying to lower the political temperature here.
It's like a wholly different convention that we're going to see.
I think that bullet grazed his ear, but it impacted his heart.
It impacted his heart. These poor, stupid fucking fools. Like, I don't believe for a second. Did they really think that? Do you think they really believe that? I don't. Let's see what they actually said at the convention now.
Democrats' disastrous record on crime, trade, and regulation has ruined the lives of countless Minnesotans.
Your family is less safe.
Biden's violent crime crisis.
Our children are dying.
War on families.
Woke indoctrination trampled underfoot by the radical left. Biden and the Democrats are doing everything they can to tear down this great country. America cannot afford 4 more years of a weekend at Bernie's presidency.
So, yeah, I mean,
unity my ass.
Yeah, unity. They sure came together as fucking bigots as usual, didn't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, they unified. Absolutely. Yeah. To
Yeah.
hate everybody that isn't them. Yeah, unity my ass.
This happened too, though. We got to watch this.
Oop.
That's still Yanni. Hold on, one more time. Wait. Yeah, there he goes. I could just watch that all day.
Trump blowing the kiss to Hulk Hogan honestly made me nauseous.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because he goes, like, it wasn't even just like it was an in the air.
Is anybody surprised that Marjorie Taylor Greene makes weird noises while she's smiling? She's so strange.
Yeah. God, it was so weird.
Playing mom, crazy ass fucking bitch. I can't stand that woman.
Psycho. So psycho. Yeah.
But
that's hilarious.
For me, I watched the Republican. I probably won't watch the Democratic convention, honestly, but the Republican one, I had to watch it just because it was funny. Like, who thought it was a good idea? You know who would really bring us together and who's not controversial at all that we should have come talk? Hulk fucking Hogan. How about that? Yeah, like, who the fuck? Hopefully somebody lost a job over that, or got a promotion. One of the two,
He's ripping off his shirt and everything. Like, fucking.
Let's have Hulk Hogan come out and be. Trump
isn't he didn't he get in trouble for fucking somebody's wife or?
That and being a racist piece of shit.
Yeah.
Dropping the N-word repeatedly. And
that's right. Yeah. I knew there was something else that was gross.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan is. I mean, he fits right in with Trump, but again, like, even if, like, let's say for a second that I really am a Christian, okay? Let's pretend that I'm faking it as an atheist just to make atheist content. Now, if I wanted to assure you that I was for real, would I go get Kenneth Copeland and have him come here and speak? Like, that's kind of like, if I want you to take me seriously, like, how can I when you are when you picked these fucking idiots, like Kid Rock,
right?
He's
Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
Jesus, they've been sucking Ted Nugent's dick for 20 years at this point. It's gross.
Kid Rock's a badass. He went and paid for beer and then shot the beer.
And shot it, yeah.
with ammo that he paid for.
Fuck you, Bud Light. Like,
yeah, fuck you, Bud
I'm
Light.
just mad at like the weakest beer ever made by humans. Like, what?
Bud Light was the only one that benefited from that.
Right, right. Yeah.
It's when these influencers think that their influence is stronger than it is, you know?
Yeah.
Like, remember a while back there was a thing everybody got mad and was burning their Nikes, and it's like, you dumbass.
Right. Yeah.
You want to go burn a $300 pair of shoes? Go ahead.
Right. Yeah.
You
Have
show
at it.
them.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like, this is really gonna stick it to the man. Like, we live in a capitalist hellscape. Like, what?
Yeah.
You're not hurting anybody but yourself. It's just silly.
Yeah, you're benefiting them. Like,
Mhm.
and not to mention, like, for things like Bud Light, there is no bad publicity. How many people, because it's a non-zero number, I promise you this, seen that and was like, you know what I want? Some Bud Light.
Bud Light.
And went and bought Bud Light as a result. Like, you fucking idiot.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
I've been to 3 Kid Rock concerts and had a lot of fun at each of them. And at this point, I wouldn't want to be in the same building with that person because he's too stupid to breathe the same air as me without sucking it up. Like, it
might be contagious.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. All right. Well, I'm gonna go get dinner.
Yeah, I'm gonna end this. It's been 2 hours now. Unless you got anything else you want to say, Issa.
Yeah.
Sorry, we were so rough on you about the burning thing.
I was trying really hard not to, but yeah, those people piss me off.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody that came and hung out for a little bit, and it's good talking to everybody. I like to do these and be able to hang out with you guys and just shoot the shit a little bit with everybody that hangs around. I'll see everybody soon.
Yeah. Check us out on Wavelength. 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Yep.
Sorry.